Hi everyone, welcome to this new podcast episode. So I'm here today with Maryam Ehsani. She is a recognized expert in child protection and safeguarding. She's the CEO of Child Safe Middle East, CEO and founder actually, and the ambassador of the AI Universal Council, and as well a board member of the ISPCAN, I will say it properly, so the International Society of Prevention for Child Abuse and Neglect. So today we'll talk about AI in children, we'll talk about balancing protection, empowerment as well, and all the opportunities around us. How are you?
Very well. Thank you for having me, Margot. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Pleasure for me as well. So can you tell us what led you to actually start working into like putting AI into the topic of like safeguarding and protection of children?
Very good question to start with, because for the past 15 years, I have been working in child protection and child safeguarding, and we have always focused on an element of online safety.
Yeah.
And as you know now, AI is the buzz, everybody's talking about it. And there has been a lot of cases that occurred due to AI, people talking education sector, different sectors. And so we thought there is a gap when it comes to child protection and online safety, and we wanted to address more on AI. So for the past few years, we started advocating, raising awareness through our different channels with the multi-sector, discussing AI and the importance of it and how do we ensure that it's safe, it's responsible.
Do you mainly talk to parents, teachers, governments?
So we are a multi-sector collaborator. So we work with the schools, we work with health sector, we have parents, we have educators, we have doctors, nurses, whoever comes in contact with children through different channel, they always need to know about what is AI and what is the risk and what's the benefit as well. So this is how we try to approach different one differently with a different language.
Yeah. So we'll start with the positive side of it, because there are a lot of positive sides of AI as well today. So according to you, where do you see AI being used properly? What are the opportunities for children using AI today?
I like the positive side as well. So if we want to talk about the positive side, I mean, we have seen from research surveys, although it hasn't been deeply embedded in education yet, but we have seen that it has helped a lot in terms of tailoring education to special needs. So children with special needs as well. So there is great tools where education sectors are using in understanding children, because we know the system in education has been there for a long time and it hasn't changed much. So with AI, I like the idea that it's changing, but it's changing too fast. So if I want to focus on the positive side, it can be used to help children learn better, to understand their learning needs better. That's the biggest positive side of things from my perspective when I look at it.
So what type of tools or usage are we talking about here? Because when we say children, the age range is actually huge. Yes. I don't know when you say children, you talk about teenagers mainly, but actually from what age? Like, what are we talking about? Which tool and what age?
Yeah, so there are different tools for different age, where they can recognize face recognition, for example. Is the child ready to learn something extra, or are they tired now? Are they feeling sleepy now? There is so many different tools that they use to recognize where does the child stand at that moment. So that helps, because sometimes we think from 9 to 5 the child can be in school. Let's talk about teenagers, for example, and they are happy to learn. There's so many things that they need to do, and sometimes there is after school activities. So some of the learning tools that they use that has AI systems in place, it can recognize that, or it can say, okay, now it's time for doing something else. It's not the right approach. So we have to look at how education is changing with AI, and it is changing. But when we talk about the gray side of things, we can unfold so many different things as well.
So the systems that you're talking about, are they tools that are available on that children use because they know about it and they use it because they chose to, or is this something that you see in some schools already, or basically being provided by organizations or even families?
Yeah, so they are in some schools, not here, not yet. but some schools are internationally, they are using them to test, to see how, and then they looked at the survey to see did it have a good impact, a positive impact. And sometimes, and one of the studies I was reading about the other day, 50% improvement in the learning of children's education and how they learn things. So that's, for me, is a very positive point.
So for you, the most of the positive impact is more in the learning process of the children. Is it as well? Is there any role that AI can play into like giving them a voice or into inclusivity? Or do you see any other topic that has potential or in which you have hope that it can impact positively the children?
Yeah, so I mean, I can talk about the prevention of child abuse, for example.
Yeah.
It's some of the AI tools are used to protect children, to flag red areas, where things are not appropriate for the children, where they can send a message to the educators, to the parents, to say that this types of conversation has been happening, your child has been talking about this conversation or visiting these websites. So it's kind of monitoring as well. And I think that's a positive thing. If it's used correctly, then it can have a very positive impact to safeguard and protect children online.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
Yeah.
All right. And then when it comes to the risks, so obviously, I personally see as well a lot of parents and myself to start with, like being a bit scared about like, how do we approach AI with children? Because for parents of teenagers, for example, we were talking earlier, but like this new generation, the Gen Z, they were almost born with AI, but like they were so agile with these tools, they use it a lot, etc. So how do you approach the topic and the risks at this age? What risk are we talking about here?
So there are a lot of risks. I mean, let alone like talking about online safety and adding AI. It's a huge.
It was already.
I was already struggling in my sector. I was struggling, and my team, and it's not easy, to monitor and control the online world.
Yeah.
And the digital world. It's there's a lot of things that can go wrong if not looked at very carefully. So what I mean by that is like identifying the risks, understanding that what are the risks. And sometimes we get too excited because it's trendy.
Yeah.
AI is very trendy now. Everybody's talking about it, but we should not forget about the risk. We should not forget about the impact that can have long-term on the lives of children. And we know that children of today are going to be the leaders of the future.
Yeah.
So the impact is huge, and we need to really understand like, whatever we are doing now, we will see the result in the future with them. So if children are not being communicated to or told in what are the benefits, what are the risks, and how can they safeguard themselves, then we will not be in a good position. And children themselves, they need to be able to safeguard and protect themselves. We cannot be there with them 24 hours a day.
Monitor everyone.
Exactly. So it's very important, like how do we have that bonding? For me, it's about the relationship, which happens at home.
Yeah.
Forget about the school, forget about what the online world is doing, the tech companies are doing, but what is the family doing? Where is that child being nurtured? Where is this child being confident to speak to? Their safe circle. It's very important, because if we want to talk about the AI risks, the first things that we need to talk about, does that child have the confidence to speak?
Yeah.
To say if things are wrong. Let's talk about online safety. Like if they are, for example, video gaming. Let's talk about video gaming.
Yeah.
There's all kids nowadays, like most of them, they are online and they play video gaming. But I ask parents, do you know what they play? Oh, no, I don't know much about it. It's not my area.
Yeah.
But there is a gap. This is where we're creating that gap. And for me, that gap is where things start getting scary.
Yeah.
Because the bigger the gap, the less the protection.
Yeah. And it challenges a lot the way people parent, actually. Because, I recently met at it was a corporate training, so nothing to do with children. And one of the person was very scared, and she said, okay, I'm against AI, but I came today because I have a teenager and she had a daughter, and she was like, she started asking questions to ChatGPT instead of asking me questions. And she was sad about this. Yeah. And it was in a workshop, so other people were talking to her. Most of them were parents, I guess. And one person said, okay, so it's just you need to adapt. Instead of being sad that she doesn't ask the question, make sure she shares the answers with you, and then you start debating on this, And we had a big discussion about the fact that it's challenging the adults, because obviously we have a big responsibility. So we can't we need to look into this. Like, we need to open the box. We need to actually look into this topic. But as well, it means you need to change the way you make sure that your child is safe enough to tell you what he has seen online, safe enough to share what he's doing online, etc. It's really challenging the parents.
Yeah, it is. And also sometimes it's about unlearning what you already know. I always say that in my trainings or assessment. If you are so fixated on what you already know, you're not moving forward.
Yeah.
So you need to unlearn and to learn new things. And now with AI evolving so fast, and there's a lot of uncertainty, nobody's expert 100% on AI.
Not.
If you hear anyone saying, I know everything about AI, there's a big issue.
Yeah.
So the parents who are scared of AI, I don't blame them, but I always speak to those parents. I say, if you are scared of something, you will never overcome the fears if you leave it in a box. You need to open that box. You need to see what's in there. How can you mitigate it? How can you actually look into yourself in terms of your own digital literacy?
Yeah.
What do you know about AI as a parent, And that's sometimes it takes a lot of effort.
Yes.
And we have busy lives, I mean, it's my field of work, it's different.
Yeah.
But I understand if somebody is doing completely something else and they start wanting to learn about AI and how to safeguard their children. But this is the future.
Yeah.
It's already there.
It's there,
we are
actually.
using it already.
Yeah.
Children are using it through the filters on Snapchat, TikTok. This is AI. Alexa, this is AI.
Yeah.
But
even just Netflix like
exactly. So ignoring the fact that AI will be there for a long time until maybe the next trend that will come up. We don't know when. We need to be prepared to prevent things from happening. We will never prevent them 100%, but the more awareness, the more education, the more we create that bonding with our kids, with our children, the stronger we will be, the more confident we will feel as a parent.
Yeah, it's interesting because it starts by technology, but the answer is always like the bonds between humans and the human relationship. It's AI, but it was like screen time, it's social media. Now it's AI, even worse. And actually, the only answer is always like, keep the link, nurture the link. And it's the same in your family, but it's the same at school, it's the same in a company, it's the same everywhere. Can you maybe, just to be very concrete, give us a couple of examples of things that may be wrong or big risk? Like, for example, the first idea that comes to my mind is the deepfakes. There are so many, I mean, I don't know for the UAE, but like back in Europe, there are so many examples of teenagers creating deepfakes of people from their class, and it can really go super far. So that will be one example of things that is super dangerous. But do you have any other examples of things we need to keep in mind?
Yeah, so I mean, the deepfake is a big area because there was a big case in Spain last year where the image of girls were taken and put into an inappropriate content. So we need to first go back again, think about what do we share online. It goes always back to the basics. We don't have to be expert in AI to protect, but just to stop and think. What types of images are we sharing of our children? If they are little, they don't know yet what is being shared on them. Make sure you're sharing. I mean, I never share anything. And I'm not judging, but I just want to make sure parents understand what can go wrong. They should be aware of what can go wrong. And sometimes it can be unintentional harm. It's not always intentionally. You don't want to harm your child, but you put an image out there, very innocent image of your child, and that image is not yours anymore. And people think because it's a private account, then they have the privacy and everything is protected. But again, we need to, from your side of things, I mean, in terms of the data they collect, by the time the child is 18 years old, they have a huge profile. And if that child, at that time when they are 18, they turn to be an adult, they don't want it, they cannot stop it, they cannot go back. So think about it long term. I mean, another thing with the AI and the risk is cyberbullying. There's so much of that happening with the voice recognitions where the children's voices can be replicated and then they can ask them to say things through the AI tools where the child doesn't even know. So where we share the content, who we share it with, it's really important. And these things are not, we don't have to wait for the school to tell our children. It has to start early with the kids. And there's child-friendly material.
Yeah.
It's not that you have to wait until they are teenagers, because sometimes that's too late. So start as early as possible talking about their safety, the physical safety, the online safety. I mean, you have seen here, majority of people you see, their kids, they have an iPad.
Yeah.
And they are on YouTube. And you ask them, is it kids YouTube? I say, no, it's a normal YouTube, because you have to sign up. There's an extra effort. But then again, with kids YouTube, the title can be flagged.
Yes.
If a title inappropriate, can be flagged by YouTube itself, by the tech companies. But if the content inside of the video is not being monitored, then again, the tech companies can fail how to protect children.
Yeah.
So we cannot assume just because a tech company has provided a safe space for children, this means it's fully 100% protected. Again, it goes back to knowing what types of contents your children are looking at. Where are the platforms that they're spending time at? So it's all these little things that can add a lot to your to-do list.
Yeah.
But can have a positive impact.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah, and I think it's very good that you say that, because we tend to, in general, there is a lot of responsibility put on teachers, a lot of responsibilities probably put on the governments as well, but it starts in your own family. So it starts as a parent, and we have a big role, and the world is changing. It's going to be maybe more, I don't know if it's going to be more difficult, but we're going to have new challenges that our parents didn't have before, etc. So we need to look into this. Thank you for saying that, because I think it's very important. Mm-hmm. And now if we move to actually the other roles that have a responsibility on the children. So if we start by the schools, obviously they are not the ones educating the children, but still they will have a role. For example, we were discussing in like high school, all the teenagers, they use already ChatGPT way better than everyone. Yeah. They are super agile on these tools. They learn quickly. They use them already. Mm-hmm. Some teachers are very supportive, but others are a bit lost, which makes sense. Like they may not all be super interested, or they may be a bit scared as well. And how do we equip them to understand, first of all, what's happening and manage a bit all these children that are so agile and go quicker than them, and make sure they can follow it. And as well, how do we equip them in terms of risks? How do we make sure that they understand what they can push the children to do, but where should be the limits? Because it's not the same as at home. It should be a bit different.
Of course.
So what is your advice?
Yeah, so with the educators, with the teachers, first of all, they need to be well educated into what's okay, what's not okay, and what is the limit, and where are the boundaries, and what are the risks, and how can they use it. And then if they feel comfortable, because I feel like I speak to a lot of educators, they're overwhelmed at the moment. Yeah. They say, the kids are already using it, as you just said, we are well behind, we don't know what's happening because we don't use it. And it's like, use it. AI is there to be used. To be used in a good way. It's not like, but then again, we need to make sure that the children, they understand how much dependency they should have on these things. Yeah. Because we don't want a generation to come that zombies, just depending on AI for ChatGPT or any other tools to, like you said, asking questions from AI rather than the parents. Yeah. So what do we need to do at school level? First of all, we have to talk about teaching them to be able to do critical thinking. Yeah. This is one skill that is a social skills that we all need it. Yeah. It's not something that it's not a module standing on like mathematics and science. So I would say, if you want to embed AI, start to understand as well, where is the humanity, where is the social skills that it's important to enable those kids to use AI in a good way. Because if we leave them, it's like leaving children with a big AI tools. It's scary.
But it's like leaving them with a bomb.
Exactly. So with these chatbots, there's character.ai where they children can have a therapist, can have a nutritionist, can have a friend, we've seen a lot of cases that things go wrong. Kids start building relationship with chatbots. And this, for me, it's very sad and very scary at the same time. But if the children, they know about where is the red line, where is the boundary, where can they start talking to an adult about what's going on with their conversation with the online world, then I wouldn't be so scared. I'll feel like there is this way of safe communication. But if that safe channel doesn't exist, if the educators are unaware of communicating the message to the children about what are the things that they should be scared of, then they can fail. And this is something that I worry quite a lot. It keeps me up at night thinking, how can we leave our kids with something that it's out of control? It's not controlled.
No.
It's not. So, I mean, they can't control it because the data is there. Everybody's collecting data. And we need to understand that ChatGPT will give you the answer that you want to hear sometimes. It's depending on what
side.
Exactly. So does the children know that?
No, of course
they
not.
don't. I mean, there was an example of a child, I don't know if you heard on the news, where he was having a conversation with a chatbot and said, my parents doesn't allow me to be online all the time. What do you think I should do? And then the AI tool say, if it was me, I would kill them.
Oh, wow.
So do you see what I mean? So this is maybe that data was collected through other, I don't know. I mean, it's not somebody entered that in there.
Of course not.
But imagine the brain of a child listening or hearing something like this or reading something like that. What does it do to them?
Yeah, and you can't expect a child to think like an adult.
They cannot. No. So if we don't teach children critical thinking right from the beginning, or to distinguish between right and wrong, then how do we expect the children to be safe?
Yeah.
And I would say this is a responsibility of educators, government through policy making, and also parents through educating it at the family level.
Yeah, and they need to be actually the first to be educated is to be the parents.
Yes.
And then so you mentioned governments as well. It's interesting because in the UAE, actually, there are a lot of announcements. And recently, so the moment we'll release the episode, it will be like back to school. So it's a good moment to look into this. But so a few months ago, the government announced that we will have in schools, starting from 4 years old, we'll have mandatory AI courses. I don't know what it means exactly yet. Maybe by then we'll know more.
Yes, hopefully.
But I think it's a good news. It's just we don't know exactly what it's going to be. If it's going to actually be applied the first year, I'm not sure. But do you see it as a good sign? Because, for example, my point of view is that it means we are looking into this. If it's not only an announcement, but we are looking into this. So there is room for integrating as well protection and ethics, etc. courses. Do you think the same, or do you think it's, for example, too early to look into this at the age of 4 years old? What do you think about this?
First of all, I think it's great that the government has looked into this because it means that they are thinking ahead. Exactly. And this is what I love about the UAE. They always think ahead of where we're heading and what we need to achieve and the positive impact. But I would love to see that before even starting implementing it, to ensure that there is a module or a training for the educators, and what is the implications and what is the ethical side of it. And how, it will have to be for a different, child-friendly material at different age, because it's a different way we can communicate to the children. So I would say talking about the risks and knowing how to use it would be more important than just embedding AI within the curriculum. And I'm sure they will be thinking about that. I haven't seen anything on the protocols and what does it mean. But for me, it's still a positive sign that they are looking into this. So it means it's not something that the children will choose themselves to go through it, but it would be within the system. And that's when something is within the system, sometimes you would think we can protect it better.
Yeah, I agree. And it forces the parents to look into this, the teachers to look into this. So it's not a taboo topic, which is, I think, as you said, we need to open the box.
Yes, exactly.
From any side of the box, but it needs to be open at some point.
Yes.
The last population I wanted to talk about is as well the tech companies, because you talked about YouTube and this type of companies. They have as well a responsibility, or any company building an AI product, let's simplify, will have a responsibility if it's so around, even if it's not a product that is for children. Today you can have access to anything. So do you have any advice, or I don't know if we can actually really give advice, but like, what will be the best practices if child protection was a priority for these guys, for these companies? What will be the best advice you'd had for them to make sure that actually the children are actually protected? Like either they don't have access, or we make sure that We give different type of, how do we monitor they have access, etc., etc.
It's a tricky part.
It is.
Tech companies, I work with a lot of them. I would like to be friends with them, to say that when you are looking to invest your time and your budget and your projects into building something for the kids, make sure that you center the child. So it should be a child-centered approach. Safeguarding and protection should be the first thing that comes on the agenda. You cannot think about it at the end of it when things start going wrong, which sometimes, unfortunately, this happen. So it's really crucial to ensure that it's a fixed agenda item within their plan.
Yeah.
So it can't just be added.
No.
It's not just a checklist. So my message to the tech companies, please have child protection, child safeguarding right there from the beginning. And it's to protect them and to protect the kids. It's not just protecting the kids, because at the end of the day, also it will protect their image.
Yeah, of course.
We don't want to hear like tech companies going wrong and not being able to, and we have seen a lot of that on the news lately and in the past, where they come and apologize, say, oh, we didn't think about that, we didn't do this, we didn't think this would be a risk. So doing a risk assessment right from the beginning to understand, where does children fall into all of this? Are we just creating a tool where we want to get the children hooked into it, where they can sign up and become a member? Or do we want them really to be safe while using these platforms?
Yeah.
So you see what I mean? So there's two different things. Which one do you prioritize? I would say prioritize the safeguarding first, and then think about what is the end result of your product or your platform.
Yeah. It's not going to be easy to push, but it's a good message to share.
Yes.
Okay, very clear. I have one question, actually, and it's with my mom hat, but like, from what age do you think children are ready to hear about AI or start testing AI? For example, in the I have a son. Sorry, he's in FS1, so very small, and they started already creating images. I mean, I think they were briefing the teacher who was prompting, and they created images, and they didn't understand that. I mean, he didn't really understand what it was. He just ended up with an amazing fire truck or things like this. But I was very surprised. And I don't know exactly how it was actually pushed to the children. But I was thinking, because that's my job as well, working in AI. I've been doing that for years. And when he asked me what's my job, I can't really explain. It's very difficult for me to explain. And I was thinking, at what age should I actually introduce this topic to him? And I thought it will be way later.
Yeah.
But people are talking about that a lot, so I know the question will come. And it's not about answering the question, but at what age can I show him what it's doing? I know a lot of parents, for example, that are creating stories on ChatGPT. So the child, for example, says, like, with the voice a story, and it comes. And is it a good way of starting? Or there is no urgency at all. They will anyway get to know AI. But I would like to have your point of view as well.
Yes. So it's a very interesting question, because I have the same thing in my mind, being a mom. I know friends, or I know parents who their children use Alexa or different AI tools right from 2 years old.
Yeah.
So
they pick it super
when they
quickly.
start talking, so it's like, yes. So, and then they are very proud of it.
Yeah.
And they say, my child is way ahead of the game. They know much more than the other kids who don't have technology access at home, or their parents hasn't allowed it yet.
Yeah.
So I guess it goes also to the parenting style, because I mean, whatever I will say here, people will still do their own thing.
Of course. Yeah.
So yes, I mean, my work or my expertise or whatever I do in terms of my work, it's depending on the practice, the good practice. So I would say good practice, it's too early. It's too early now. And depending on the child as well, because every child is different. And then they're going back to the old education system where we see everyone the same. They are not the same. Every child is different. So you need to look into, if you are bringing such topic, is it going to be too much on that child? Is it going to be overwhelming? Are they there yet? So these are the questions you need to ask yourself as a parent to understand where they stand, what do they really know about it. I mean, for example, my child is not online. They don't have access online. So talking about AI to my child at this time, I think that would be confusing.
It's very difficult to understand.
Exactly. So I don't want to cause that harm
and anxiety as well.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's kind of adding too much. And again, going back to the fact that stay with the basics, like the bonding, the comfort, teach empathy, teach how to think better, how to decide better. These are the things that if you leave them too late, you are out of the game. But the AI and the technology, you can learn. I mean, we learned it.
Yeah.
So we didn't learn it when we were 4 years old, did we?
Of course.
So it's
not at all.
So similarly, I would say it's a matter of choice for parents. But as someone who works in this field, and I work with parents and child psychology, child rights, it's important to look at the child itself. So I want the child to be the center of all of this.
Yeah.
Is it the time? Is it the right things for that child? And yes, of course, if it comes through a curriculum, then ask question as a parent.
Yeah.
There are certain schools that they start so early in having an iPad or screen time in school. I sometimes question, and maybe some parents who doesn't know about the risks and the benefits, and they wouldn't. They would say, it's part of being advanced.
Yeah.
But then do we really need to start early? Do we really need the children to have access to all of this?
They will learn it anyway quicker than us, by the way.
Yes, exactly.
And I agree with you. And it's funny because so I've been in the field for almost 10 years.
Yes.
And every time I talk to people working in AI, they're the ones that are the most extreme in like banning screens, social media, and AI at home. So it's good to hear as well. It's not that we don't believe in it, but it's just that I believe the people who will use AI the best are the ones that have the most developed and balanced brain. You know what I mean? That are the ones that have empathy, critical thinking, that are curious, that understand the world, and they will use it as a tool. This is my
your viewpoint,
point of view.
Yeah,
it may change because I don't know what it's going to look like in a few years. But for now, that's the approach.
I'm glad we're on the same page.
Otherwise it would have been a difficult discussion. So let's just maybe to close a bit. Like, what are you the most optimistic about regarding this topic and child protection and safeguarding in the coming 5-10 years? Are there things that still make you optimistic?
For me, because I can see that some law enforcement and government entities are using AI tools to prevent child abuse from happening. So for me, this is very positive, and that will advance because we know those who are trying to groom children, who are trying to catch the children, to do things for them inappropriately, they are also advancing. They are also learning how to get to our kids. And this is sad. But I can see that the governments and the different entities within the government level, law enforcement, they are also advancing with this. So that's, for me, it's a very happy scenario where we are advancing in how to protect and safeguard children. Yeah.
What will be your dream, the dream law or measure to set up in order to protect? If you had one dream, measure.
I think one dream would be to everyone to talk about child safeguarding. Everyone, not just someone who is working in that field, but people to be able to have that awareness, that education, because we all play a role in our society. Although even if you don't have kids, you come across kids.
Of course.
Through your...
And you'll have to work with this generation later on anyway. So,
exactly.
I mean, they're here.
That would be my dream. And I mean, if you say another dream, I would say the tech company, they play a huge role, and the policymakers. So if they enforce child protection and child safeguarding through their platforms, then that's half of their work is done.
Yeah.
So yes, this would be my dream, safeguarding children.
That's a good one to have. Okay. And is there any other takeaways or advice you'd like to share, either to parents, to teenagers, to policymakers? One last advice that is not a dream, but something for people to maybe stay curious and learn.
So I would go back to where I started in saying unlearn to learn new things. Don't be fixated of what you already know and think that's the best. Sometimes yes, some of it yes, but be flexible, be adaptable. Things are changing. And if we want to protect kids or children or safeguard them, we need to also change certain things with our own lives. Yeah. The world changed so fast. We have to do the same. Yeah, exactly. Okay, thank you so much, Maryam, for your time, your insights. It's amazing to hear from you, and I think it's as I was telling you just before we started, I think your job is you'll have more and more work, because I think this topic is gonna be
more and more important in today, but in the future as well. So thank you so much for taking the time to share that with us.
Thank you, Margot. Thank you for having me, and best of luck.
Thanks.
Thank you.